Well, today is a Monday and it is a holiday in our country, of course, for the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so for me, it's been actually kind of a work day because, hashtag self-employed. But for my children, it's a day off of school, and for a lot of people, it's a day off of work. And I've just been kind of sitting back and watching with curiosity what has come across my social media feeds today as I have let myself be distracted using social media from the work that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm a little bit cynical just in general. And at the same time, I also am just kind of curious. And so, businesses are posting things about the day. Political candidates are obviously posting things about the day. Individuals are posting things. People are doing things. It's really interesting to see how diverse the meaning and interpretation is for people of this day. And certainly, of course, just as many facets of interpretation of who Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was. I've really found it interesting to see how some folks are really emphasizing his contrarian views that kind of mirror what's happening in our political arena right now in this country. Kind of highlighting how he was anti-capitalist and how he was disliked by a lot of people who were what we would call today liberals. And then other people are really talking about how he was a peacemaker. And, so it's interesting to see the different interpretations and perhaps what it is behind a particular individual or entity's viewpoint that they put out there about it. So it's kind of fascinating to me. But kind of looking at it through my own lens, just as everybody does, I do tend to kind of, when it all comes down to it, settle on this vision of him as being someone who is a rabble rouser, who shakes up things, and forget the politics of whether he didn't like capitalism or not. He certainly fought hard and, inspired thousands, millions of people over these years to fight hard. So to me, I look at him in that way. But obviously, there were many, many parts to who he was as a human. And I've been thinking about like how, in the middle of what for me is a work day, I've been sitting and writing most of the day and trying not to get too stressed out over deadlines that I have coming up. How can I make this day in some sort of way meaningful for my kids who are with me? My daughter is reading about public health and doing things on her own, and, she is her own creature. My son actually went out today with some friends and sold grapefruit that they picked off of a tree in one of their friends' yard, and they sold those grapefruits on the street to help build a well in Sudan. Through their school. And so obviously that's a nice act of service. And tonight, what I've kind of settled on is tonight the kids and I are going to watch Ava DuVernay's documentary called 13th, about the 13th Amendment and criminal justice and racism in our society. I'm going to cook dinner and we're going to watch that tonight. That's going to be the way that I acknowledge the importance of this day, is just to continue to inform my kids about racism and how it's still very much alive and well in our country in so many ways, and hopefully encourage them to continue to do things that make the world a better place, whether it's inspired by the Reverend Martin Luther King or any other person or entity that inspires them. And so that's kind of where my head is today. I also have a really crazy week ahead of me starting tomorrow, which is Tuesday. A lot of ambitious goals this week, and so I'm trying to kind of remain focused on that. And I think the decision I've made actually after last night's mind-body exercise of journaling, I think each night this week in my videos, I'm just going to come up with a different journal prompt because I think that's going to help. I think it's, again, these videos for me are a way to stay on track myself, which has been so helpful for me, but it's also something I certainly would love to, if anybody ever watches this, to give them some ideas about how to help themselves on their mind-body practices. So this week, each night, instead of doing a breathing meditation or some other kind of mind-body exercise, I'm going to do a journaling exercise, which is a mind-body exercise, but I'm going to focus on different journaling prompts. And I think tonight, in honor of this day, I'm going to write down 5 ways that I intend to make a difference in a positive way in the coming months. I'm not going to be specific about a time frame because I do want this to be kind of ongoing. And so if anybody's watching this and wants to do this themselves, that could mean something as simple as, for me, whenever I pass somebody on the sidewalk, always making eye contact and smiling, or saying hello or good morning. That to me is a very simple act of spreading, just acknowledging people's existence, which can feel uncomfortable sometimes, but I kind of like to do that. Or it might mean in the next couple of months taking my kids to see the Whitney plantation here. That is a plantation that's completely been redone to from top to bottom from the point of view of the slaves, which is completely unique. So that's another thing, but continuing to advocate, for in my immigration practice or for veterans, like what are some things that I can do over the next, few months to make a difference or to make the world a more peaceful place. So I'm going to do a prompt tonight of 5 things that I'm going to commit to doing that just continue to spread some sort of sense of positivity or social justice in my own tiny little way, which I think will be a nice way to close out this day. So that's what I'm going to do. And the song that I'm going to recommend, see the sun's going down just as in the few minutes that I'm doing this video, it's getting darker and darker. The song that I'm going to put on my playlist is a song by a band called the Drive-By Truckers, and they have been politically active and engaged from their outset. Their music is extremely political and kind of hard-edged in some ways, and there's a song that they recorded called What It Means, which was kind of recorded in the wake of Ferguson and the shooting of killing of Trayvon Martin, and speaks about social justice and racism. And so that's going to be my song, and that will usher me into this coming week on this very special day.